they give away the Kestrel. Let's see what they do with the draft.
They do take the Lance, what we assume is going to be Wrecked, his self-proclaimed best roam hero. You know, best Lance in the world, as Status likes to say. You're going to see an Ardent for Willy. We've seen him perform excellently on that, and it looks like we're going to see a Celeste. Now, is this going to be Druid on Kestrel, or is this going to be Druid on Celeste?
Could be either or. We know that Korea tends to mix it up. They can drop Celeste into the jungle. They can put her in the lane. It just really depends on what the last pick is, I think, from Sirius on what they decide to do. Sky comes in with the Adagio and Lance. A little bit of an interesting draft. I definitely think it's perhaps a little bit closer, but if we're going for a mechanics game, if it's like Sirius wants to go up against Kestrel Celeste, I don't know if that's the right move.
But we have this Kestrel Celeste combination. That's an insane amount of poke coming out from Phoenix Armada, and I think we're going to be seeing, actually it's going to be a Adagio in lane. I was assuming it was going to be the Sky in lane, but this looks a bit more interesting. So I think Team Phoenix, they're going to have a good time in lane just trying to pressure Old School because he's quite a slow hero, and it's just a little bit more easier just to force him back in the lane.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was the huge surge of popularity with Adagio getting very strong. It fell out of favor, but one of the few players that I think could execute on a very high level out of the lane is Old School. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this Adagio, looking to get that DPS and control these team fights as we move on. Both teams poking back and forth just a little bit as Armada making that full team rotation, but just the two-man squad out of Sirius as Old School hangs out in that lane, just making sure he's getting all of that early CS. They have the power of this Lance with the Sky here. Do you think they look to really pressure up against the Celeste?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you can get that impel landing on the Celeste, you can do a lot of damage and leave Stasis with a great opportunity to try and land a forward barrage. And Phoenix Armada, they definitely recognize that they just completely backed away from this fight. And with this draft coming out from them, it's definitely going to shift back towards a typical East Asia meta, which is going more towards the lane game, putting a little bit more pressure on the lane. And we can definitely see them beginning to do that. Actually, very aggressive move there going into Gankstars Sirius jungle.
Well, right, it's an aggressive move, but he knows that he's not going to get anything out of his jungle. Honestly, though, anybody that's played Celeste, you have to feel like this is a bold move, but he's getting at least 3/4 of a full rotation there. Who are having the engagement. First blood! It's going to be traded 1-for-1 back and forth as we have Kestrel and Adagio going down for the teams respectively. And it looks like Wrecked trying to get in position to help out Status here. Mango low on energy. Let's see who's going to be able to get the outplay here. Willy with the Vanguard onto Mango. Mango up against the wall, stunned up. Wrecked taking a lot of damage, but Status is locked onto Mango. Status potentially getting the double kill. That's the Suri. Status, can he get him? Status, 1 basic, 2 basics, the double kill.
Great start there for Gankstars Sirius. And I think this is the point. Gankstars Sirius, they have the more aggressive early game composition, and they're definitely using that to their advantage. Wrecked, he's on a comfort hero on that Lance, and I think we've said so many times in the past seasons that he's so comfortable on the Lance. His impales and his Githian walls are absolutely on point, and that teamfight was a great example of that. I think he stunned Phoenix Armada about 2 or 3 times into the wall in just one team fight.
Yeah, definitely. And they chose to fight there is the thing, though. They positioned right up against that wall. And Wrecked is going to take advantage of that. Of all the Lance roams that we have ever seen, Wrecked definitely, in my eyes, one of the best. Mango has to be careful here. An impale could spell damage for him, but Wrecked is the one to be caught, stunned up. He'll knock him away with the Githian wall, but it's blood for blood right back in. A cheeky little impale for Wrecked to get back under his turret a little bit quicker there. Gankstars Sirius, just a 2-man squad up here holding down the lane quite fine, and Status makes the rotation up, not even needed.
Going for that weapon Sky, so there's a lot of mobility. So the thing with Phoenix Armada is that Kestrel and Celeste, they need to be in the backline and be kept safe by Willy. But with this weapon Sky, she can use her mobility to dance around and go to the backline, and that makes Willy's job very, very difficult.
All right, well, Willy doing a pretty good job thus far. And honestly, I think Willy with these gauntlets is going to be a major factor we're going to have to contend with, especially when you're looking at a mobile hero like Sky. Status is going to want to dance around these fights. And if Phoenix can abuse that gauntlet just to be able to protect themselves kite backwards with the Celeste, it can be really difficult to get on target. Status trying to get a little work done here in the opponent jungle, but looks like him and Wrecked are going to make their way back towards the jungle shop here. Old School taking the fronts from his own side, but this is a different story, a completely different game here in match number 2.
Absolutely, we're seeing it's a lot closer goal difference-wise, and I think at this point, Phoenix Armada had already racked up like 6 or 7 kills, and they had a significant gold advantage. Phoenix Armada, they're sitting about quite a small 500 gold lead. And I've got to say, Gankstars Sirius, this weapon Sky is definitely going to be very scary for Phoenix Armada, because Mango and Druid, their abilities are skill shot based. And with this mobility coming out from Status, it's going to make it very difficult for them. And I know Druid and Mango are very capable of it, but it requires just that little bit more precision.
I agree with you. They're going to have to be focusing on that. But moving forward here, I think Status is definitely one of these players that once he sees the weakness in his opponent, can capitalize on it just about as good as anybody in the world. And I'm quite excited to see what he can do with this weapon. Sky right now starting off 2-0-1. If they were tilted at all after game one, they have to just untilted based off this early game performance here. Let's talk about power spikes for these teams. Is there anything you're really looking for, items, levels on these teams?
For Gankstars Sirius, is when Old is going to be able to hit that level, so he does have that Versus Judgment available, and I know he's not going to get into close range of Mango and Druid, but that's certainly a consideration that Phoenix Armada have to be aware of. For Phoenix Armada, you've got Mango, who's almost level 8, he's only level 6, but when he gets at level 8, he will have that increased range of the Heliogenesis, and it would have forced Gankstars Sirius back, and then also the Solar Storm as well.
Yeah, those are major power spikes right there. Of course, the level 8 for Celeste, such a big deal. And we'll see. As far as the first item choice, there's a couple different ways he can go. Looks like he's building into Shatterglass, maybe a Frostburn there coming out first. Would you have a preference on that?
I would say either go for Frostburn first, or go for Shatterglass and have Willie pick up a Shiver Steel. And the Shiver Steel is not an item I've seen a lot of the East Asian roamers pick up, so it might not be a priority for them. But
I mean, we haven't seen Shiver Steel that much built at all this time.
That is very true, and I think it could be picked up a bit more in some fights, because definitely trying to get that, close the gap and slow down your target is very important, but I think it could potentially help, as long as there was one form of slow on the side of Armada.
Right, Old School, Wreck, they're going to be hanging out, posturing in this left mustache bush here, just trying to keep Armada on the back foot. Both teams doing a pretty good job. 59 last hit, 60 for Druid here in the lane, 61 for Old School, so they're trading back and forth, very even net worth, no major advantages, just a slight net worth lead the way of Phoenix Armada. And we're approaching 7 minutes into this game. I feel like a big team fight could be breaking out. That's going to be the gauntlet down. Status, he's trapped. Walks into the wall. He's going to be stunned up. Healed by his ally, but he still goes down. Now Willie's going to activate this boost, trying to get forward. Druid as well. Druid wants Wreck, and they're going to be able to get him. Melted right there. Now Mango, level 7. If he's able to get through this jungle rotation, it's going to be just worse when Sirius get back out on the map, and he has that overdriven Helio.
Absolutely. Stasis, they're already quite close in terms of CS, but this is just to increase it. That's just that little bit more for Mango, who has picked up that Frostburn. So having that slow there is going to be very important for Phoenix Armada, as we're saying just a few minutes ago. For Gankstars Sirius, I think an important item spike that we have to think about is that breaking point in Stasis, because right now he's just got this very bursty Sorrow Blade, but he's just got that breaking point. If they aren't able to burst him down immediately, he's going to be very difficult to deal with.
I agree with you. The breaking point is going to be a major power spike for him. Well, it looks like there's going to be a bit of an engagement here. Nobody really getting caught. I don't think Sirius want to die for this. My question, though, is it okay for Status to not build a reflex block? I mean, we saw if he had a reflex right there with that gauntlet going down. That's the one shot. Old School getting lit up. Force the found out. He dies anyway. Oh, my goodness. So much damage coming out. Now Status already used his boots. A nice early strike will get him into good position. Actually gets his forwards there as well. And Status should try to get himself out of here, unless he wants to make a little bit of a sneaky play here, try to steal this gold miner. If this goes the way of Phoenix and someone dies, it's going to be a complete disaster. Status stunned up. Helio gets wrecked! Absolutely melted. And speaking of wrecked, he goes down as well. Old School was able to spawn, so that was not the ace, but that's an immense gold payout. The opposite of what Gankstars needed. And it looks like Old School maybe tilting. I don't know what happened. Old School, questionable plays.
Absolutely. So this is a very tense moment for the two teams, because Phoenix are on the gold mine. They're taking a bit of damage from Stasis. Just gets burst down by Mango with that supernova, and Wreck, he tries to steal it, but it's just a little bit too early. So Phoenix Armada, they get the ace and they get the gold mine and the turret on top of that. That's a lot of gold going towards Phoenix Armada, because before that they were very close, and now they've just taken that 4K gold lead.
This is just so tough right now for Status. We talked about the mobility of the weapon Sky and how he wants to be able to abuse that. But with the Frostburn coming out on the Celeste, and maybe the advantage being in the jungle Celeste getting those levels earlier and picking up that Frostburn first, they're outranging their opponents. And if you land one of those Helios, it's so incredibly difficult for Status to maneuver around these fights. He's getting chunked down so fast.
And they forced the reflex block coming out from him as well, and you were just saying maybe he doesn't need to get that reflex block. But
this is going to be a level 9 weapon infusion. He has his breaking point as well, and they're just going to go to town on this turret. Turret's destroyed. Nice gauntlet. Rekt is trapped inside. Old School on the backside. Rekt is going to block that, walk through, forces the bound. The first judgment's going to be coming out. Blocked off. Nice job. Now Phoenix, who is caught in here with who right now? Status trying to find the damage. It's not enough. Old School's down. Status is dead. Rekt is wrecked. And that's the ace right there for Phoenix Armada. They're going to be able to take this choke point turret. And this is just flawless gameplay, right? I mean, it's textbook.
I mean, at the start, it looked so close. For the first 7 minutes of the game, we would have said, well, it's looking like a pretty close game. But Phoenix Armada, they were exactly the same position we were in the last game. They just completely stormed ahead, forced Gankstars back to their choke point tower. And if you look at the team fights, the positioning coming out from Druid and Vainglory is just absolutely insane. They're avoiding the impales, they're avoiding the forward barrages. There's a lot being thrown at them, and they're just precisioning in their mini-scope, like the...
There are, but at the same time, I feel like there are mistakes made. I want to hear our analysts talk about it later, but, you know, Status going for the light shield before even starting to build into the reflex block. I think, like, as an Arden player, my mindset, if I know my team has enough damage, is immediately if I have that gauntlet, you check, you're like, no, there's no reflex, you just drop it right on him.
And they are doing that every single time. I think last time they caught Rekt, he took a lot of damage, he was able to get out, he used his reflex block, and it still wasn't enough. They forced an early fountain out of him because he was so low and he needs to be alive. Oh, hang on, there's a flank.
Status getting chunked through right now. Mango getting good damage. One shot's gonna land onto Rekt. Solar Storm comes through as well. Rekt is just gonna go the other way to buy a little bit more time for his team. This is such a tough spot to be in right now.
It is so tough. Team Phoenix, they've taken such a strong lead already. Now they're 8k ahead in gold, and I think just 3 minutes ago we were saying it was just a 4k gold lead. They have doubled that in that time. And we're seeing Willie, he's picked up a Shiver Seal. Mango has that Frostburn. That's a lot of slow, and they're able to focus on their targets.
Well, rippy dippy right there. Status is going to get taken down, just absolutely melted. It appears that there's nothing they can do against Phoenix Armada right now. You know, Phoenix coming into today, you have 3 North American teams, 1 Korean team right here, and they know they have to take all of them down, and they're like, well, we're just going to start with Gankstars Sirius, light them up, put the fear into the hearts of the other teams, and right now they're doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, absolutely. Gankstars Sirius, they're beginning to fall behind in terms of CS, in terms of items, and right now they don't have any control over the jungle or the lane. They've only got 1 scout trap down, and are we going to see a steal? I don't think this is a good idea.
Well, they were going for it before when it was questionable, so I wouldn't expect them to let off the gas right now. They need to actually make plays. Old School is going to be caught out here, booting forward. Druid wants some. Druid gets some! And now Rekt getting chunked through as well. Is this a Lance? It's a dead Lance, and he's absolutely just destroyed. Status trying to go, he can't even go toe-to-toe with the Roam right now. Willie just punching him in the face. Helio lands. That's ridiculous, as it says on the screen. Ace, Phoenix Armada. They turned up. Their performance so far in the tournament was beautiful to watch, but what they have done here today, this is something to write home about.
Absolutely, Willie might actually go down. He goes down there right at the crystal.
Now they're able to get a kill back, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Rekt tries to stand his ground. That's the double kill. Druid trying to kill Status in the healing platform. Status not going to have any of that business, but he's stunned up, chopped down.
That's the ace.
Phoenix Armada going to go up 2-0 in this best of 5. 1 game.